independent efforts to bring brand new games to old video game systems such as the NES and Sega Genesis are commonplace now. However, it was a bold time for the Sega Dreamcast in the early aughts, as it seemed a handful of developers didn't get the memo that the system was discontinued by the company in 2001. Even in 2005, I was able to walk into my college game shop spot and pick up a commercial copy of Triangle Services' Tri-Zeal for Dreamcast. Tucked firmly in between 2001 and 2005, there was a notable independent Dreamcast release that filled in a genre hole for US Dreamcasts and kicked off a publishing label that would offer a handful of brand new games for the system until 2009. Feet of Fury by Cryptic Illusion was this first title branded under the publishing label Goat Store Publishing. This dancing-themed rhythm game had just reached its 20th release date anniversary, and I think it has a significant independent development history that is definitely worth sharing. It's a labor of love that came into fruition in a physical game product because an independent game development community came together in a perfect storm of events. This video is going to quickly brush over that history so I can focus a little bit more on its game contents, but if you want the full details, you can visit GameUbaka.com for extended features on Feet of Fury. The muscle behind the development of Feet of Fury was the Callisti OS by Dan Potter and Jordan DeLong, which provided developers with a Dreamcast operating system. Dan Potter developed under the label of Cryptic Illusion, and this eventually led to one of the developers' projects being slated as the first release through an independent Dreamcast publishing label through the GOAT Store, and GOAT stands for Games of All Types. This agreement led to an independent commercial release that began sale on June 7, 2003, just more than 2 years after Sega discontinued its support for the console. There were two Dance Dance Revolution mixes that released only in Japan, DDR Second Mix and DDR Club version, so Feet of Fury allowed fans of rhythm games outside of that territory to enjoy a game of that style on their Dreamcast and get more use out of a couple of peripherals they might have for the system. Feet of Fury could be played with a standard controller, but it was also developed so it could be used with a Dance Dance Revolution dancing mat for the Dreamcast. The other big hook for the game was in its Typing of Fury mode. This didn't change the general approach of hitting targets in rhythm, but these targets were changed into letters that needed to be typed out on the Dreamcast keyboard accessory. A practice mode lets players do their own thing, but the intent of the game was to highlight player versus player battles. Konami briefly toyed with such a concept in off games such as Disney Mix, but it was never a main feature of the DDR series. As such, Feet of Fury was among a rare group of rhythm game titles at the time where players could actually interfere with each other's performances. Feet of Fury included 13 music tracks from the get-go, but players could earn unlock points, and 9 more music tracks could be unlocked along with a lineup of other features. The game also featured a swap CD mode that let owners of the game create their own append disc. The main game was still needed for the mode to function, but those in the know could develop their own steps and introduce their own music into the Feet of Fury gameplay. Feet of Fury definitely caught my eye back in 2003, but I didn't actually end up with the game until 2009. I toyed with the game here and there, but I never had another player to play the game with me, which is the intended setup of Feet of Fury. I happened to notice this June was the 20th release date anniversary of the game, so I figured I was well overdue in putting the game through its paces. I absolutely love the Typing of the Dead, and that is one game that appears on my Twitch channel at least once a year, despite the non-reactions I tend to get from viewers while playing the game. As a result, the Dreamcast keyboard is always within reach for me, and it absolutely shakes up the gameplay in Feet of Fury's Typing of Fury mode. The commands introduced while in the Typing of Fury mode are chunked into English words, which helps the player make a little more sense of what they are being tasked with while in the crunch of combat. This is definitely a mode to go to for versus play when the players are acclimated to the standard rhythm game dancing. It takes a special focus to process the words and letters, and then react to that with proper typing skills. When you mix in the versus mode's attacks, items like the turbo attack that sends the commands into 3 times the scrolling rate can really work your brain into overdrive. Part of my 20th anniversary experiment was also in earning enough points to unlock every single secret in the game. 49 unlockables that require 63,100 accumulative unlock points. Standard practice play results in 300 to 400 points per song on the hard difficulty, but taking advantage of versus play on the hard difficulty with 2 players can net approximately 1,200 points per song. It was a real grind, but after 3 to 4 hours, I had what was necessary to trigger every single unlock. This was a monumental moment in gaming history, as the Feet of Fury instruction booklet says the unlockable items include a couple of surprises you won't see in any other video game. I am not joking, it seriously states this. While this sounds ridiculous in 2023, I suppose unlock shops weren't much of a thing for rhythm games at that time. The unlockables hide extra characters to play as that trigger new attack and defense abilities for the versus mode, as well as new music tracks to play in the game. To its credit, Feet of Fury has a wide range of behind-the-scenes items, probably to a level that few games matched at that point. So I'll give it a bit of a pass for claiming these surprises were unique to Feet of Fury. There are a ton of design notes, and some of these detail features cut from the game, as well as nods to the independent Dreamcast development scene a couple of years prior to Feet of Fury. You also get unfinished music tracks from the game's resident artist, DJ Geki, and bonus voice recordings. I quite enjoyed revisiting Feet of Fury, so hopefully this will give the game a little bit of attention so others will try it out for themselves. I wanted to check all of this out to satisfy my own curiosity, but I didn't expect to get so much detail out of the development of Feet of Fury when putting together my features on Game Ubaka. It honestly was a project that got a lot of attention at the time, so it's great to see some of that information is still readily available online. If any of this tickles your curiosity, Goat Store is still to this day selling Feet of Fury for $10 for brand new copies. It's an odd piece of history, but I feel like it holds up as a solid entry into the rhythm game genre.